I stood at the HOA gate when the notice blinked account frozen 41207, filed the paper still warm from the copier. Karen, our HOA president, was shouting at the sheriff's wife who had just served her the order, the parking lot buzzing like a beehive. She thought the law was a suggestion until the mirror copy of her permit number lit the audit screen. Then she froze. "Paper outlives noise," Mary said as the seal hit the ledger. Finally, someone fought back. The tape crossed the glass doors in a bright X. Bank area closed. The notice read, inside. Patricia Knoll, our HOA president, waved a gun at waist height, voice sharp. Mary Torres stood 10 feet away, badge on her belt, a folder under her arm. "Ma'am, you're on camera," Mary said. "Lower the weapon and we'll stick to paperwork." Patricia's eyes cut to me. "You. Don't record this. I'm a witness," I said, "and I like clean records." "Smells like ink and chlorine," I said. "Fluorescents are buzzing," Mills said. "Bulletin board's got the BBQ flyer," I said. "Radio low?" Mary asked. Low, Mills said. I kept the phone steady, framing the ledger table and the argument. "Keep filming," Mary said. "I'm rolling," I said. "Audio too?" Mills asked. "Everything I said. I'm freezing the HOA operating account," Mary said, calm as a torque chart. She tapped the folder. "Freeze order 41207. Timestamp 0317. Patricia took a step gun, wobbling. "You can't. These funds belong to Lakeview Estates. I'm the signatory." "Signatory isn't owner," Mary said, "and you were noticed." "By who?" "By me," Mary said, opening the folder. "That red stamp bleeds like a flare," I said. "Read it into the record," Mills said, mic clicking once. Mary lifted the top sheet. "Lake County Credit Union Compliance Action. Freeze order, FAR 12-07-03-17, filed. Reason suspected diversion of HOA assessments. Alleged," Patricia said. "Alleged until confirmed," Mary replied. "Permit number, please." "Read it slow," I said. "Into the record," Mills added. Patricia sneered. "Check your precious system." "Ledger open," I said. Mary placed a form beside it, a yellow tab marking totals. "Permit number," she repeated. Patricia didn't answer. The muzzle trembled. "Don't point that at my wife," Mills said, quiet. "I'm not pointing," Patricia said. "Here," Mary said. She slid a small card onto the table with tweezers. "Gun permit ending in 429. Compare the digits to your HOA account alias." "That's confidential," Patricia snapped. "Not under subpoena," Mary said, "and not when community funds are missing." The manager set a laminated sheet next to the ledger. "Alias, links," he said. Mary traced 2 columns with a pen cap. 429. 429. They match. She nodded to me. "Get a clean shot." "Close up," I said. "You're twisting clerical errors into crimes," Patricia said. "Crimes twist themselves," Mary said. "Clerical errors don't buy patio furniture. You can't prove that was me. Camera footage can." "Then charge me," Patricia said. "We charge on facts," Mary said. Patricia's jaw clicked. She set the gun down on the ledger with a flat clack. "There." "Happy safer," Mary said. "Now read the last deposit slip out loud." Patricia stared. "No?" "Then I'll read it," Mary said. "Withdrawal 48,000. Transfer personal account ending 52. That's a vendor," Patricia said. "Registered to your PO." "Box," Mary replied. "Same box on your permit." "Hear that?" I said. The room's holding its breath. "Lower your voice," Patricia said. "People are staring. They should." Mary said, "They paid those assessments. Board ledger card, all in frame," I said. A senior from the diner peered through the door palm to the glass. "Mrs. Noel Mills said you're going to hand me your permit card now. Why? Because the freeze order is active and you're agitated. It's legal to carry." "So is a wrench," Mills said. "You don't swing it at a bank." Mary held a clear sleeve. "Slide the permit in here." Patricia dropped the card. It landed on the received stamp pad and came up pink-edged. "Thank you," Mary said. "Now the record." She turned to me. "Note for video account frozen pending audit. Freeze order, FAR 12-07-03-17, filed." "Noted," I said. "You don't understand HOA politics," Patricia said. "Access to funds keeps projects moving. Trails, lake lights." "Projects aren't a private line of credit," Mary said. "These are assessment dollars. I'm protecting the neighborhood." "Protecting your narrative," Mary said. The manager slid a brass stamp across. Patricia's hand twitched toward the ledger. Mary's eyes didn't move. "Touch that book," Mary said softly. "And you alter evidence." Patricia froze, fingers hovering an inch above the page. "You can't make this public," Patricia said. "It will ruin property values." "Transparency props them up," I said. "Ask anyone who's tried to sell a mystery." Mills keyed his mic. "Unit 2 at HOA branch. Freeze order being read into record. All calm. Say the words I said. I will." Mary said. Mary pressed the brass stamp onto the margin. The thunk felt final. "Read it," Mills said. Mary read account frozen, received. Effective immediately. Patricia exhaled and sat. The gun stayed where she'd set it, a dead prop beside the math. "You don't get to humiliate me," she said. "You did the math," Mary said. "We're just reading the answer." I lowered the phone, then raised it for a final frame. The ledger, the permit card with its pink edge, the stamp impression cutting through 2 pages, and wall clock. "Clip that and back it up," Mary said. 2 copies, I said. "One goes to the post office box, certified." "Good," she said. "Paper beats pressure. Wind on the notice," I said. The diner senior gave me a thumbs up. The bank settled like a workshop after the switch flips, Mrs. Knoll, Mary said, capping her pen. "You're free to wait for counsel. The account isn't free to move." Patricia looked at the door, then the ledger, then the gun. She didn't touch any of them. On the screen, the red text held steady, account frozen, received. The diner opened at 6, same as always, the smell of bacon mixing with burnt coffee and old paint. I sat near the bulletin board, the one with yard sale notes curling at the edges. Mary Torres slid into the booth across from me, folder under her arm. "Word travels fast," she said. I nodded toward the counter. "They're calling it the gun at the bank. Rumors fill quicker than forms," she said, unwrapping a straw. "Let's focus on what counts." Across the diner, old Earl stirred his coffee like it owed him an apology. He glanced our way. Heard Patricia's freezing to death in her own mess, he muttered loud enough for half the room to hear. The waitress pretended not to. Mary opened her folder. "Deposit slips," she said. "See these signatures." "Same name, different ink," I said. "Ballpoint versus gel. One from a refill, one from a packet at home. So forged." "Or duplicated," she said, depending on intent. The jukebox clicked but didn't play. A moment of hum from the radio farm report static, then weather. Mary flipped a page. "Every Friday, same amount withdrawn, just under the reporting threshold. 48,000 missing total, enough to pave every driveway," I said. She handed me a slip. "Notice the routing number. Local credit union. Right. Now look at this one." She set another copy beside it. Same check number but routing points to a personal account. Her account P.O. box match. Permit renewal fee drafted from the same line. "You sure I asked?" "Stamped by the clerk," Mary said. She tapped a red square on the copy. "Received, County Treasury." Patricia signed this herself. "Numbers don't lie. People do," I said. At the counter, Earl's voice rose. "She's done more for this town than the rest of you." A man from the back shouted, "She'd done more to it." Silverware clattered. The waitress froze mid-step. "Comment trigger achieved," I whispered. Mary didn't look up. "We stay neutral," she said. "Law doesn't argue breakfast." She slid a single ledger page across the table. The margins were crowded with handwritten notes, loops, arrows, transfer IDs. She moved HOA funds through a maintenance vendor, Mary said. Vendor looks made up. It is. Address resolves to a storage unit. You checked I drove by. Rain started tapping on the glass. The parking lot blurred in streaks of gray. Mary sighed. I've seen this pattern before. Misuse panic cover story, then denial. She won't stop till someone files. That's why we file tonight, Mary said. I looked at the ledger again. 48,000, I said. How do you hide that? You don't, she said. You just convince people it's maintenance. A truck horn outside broke the silence. Earl dropped some bills on the counter and left. Mary leaned in. You okay with testifying I'm fine, I said. I just hate watching neighbors burn each other. Sometimes they need to see the smoke before they notice the fire, she said. We walked to the counter. The waitress slid our check over. That woman's been here twice today, she whispered. Asked if you'd shown up. Mary scribbled on a napkin file. Copies drive to courthouse. She folded it once, slid it under my coffee mug. Outside, the air smelled like wet asphalt and roasted beans. Mary's car was parked under the single streetlight still buzzing. Bank clerk's meeting us at 7, she said. He'll print certified statements. I looked through the diner window. The group inside leaned together, their voices low. They'll pick sides soon, I said. They always do. She turned the ignition. Papers rustled between us. It's never about money at first, she said. It's about who people believe. And when belief breaks, paper wins, she said. I laughed once short. You sound like you've done this before. Not with a gun in play, she said. She won't use it. She already did. Just not the way she thought. The wipers thudded slow. Streetlights flicked on one by one. Mary opened the folder again, marked the top page in red ink. This one's the nail, she said. Transfer authorization. Patricia signed it under her husband's login. I looked at the date. Same day as the freeze order. Exactly, Mary said. She tried to beat the clock. What now? We file tonight, she said, or she moves the money again. The diner door swung open behind us. Earl's silhouette stood framed in a yellow light. You two better know what you're doing, he called. This town's got a long memory. Then it'll remember the truth, Mary said. We drove off toward the courthouse, the ledger open on her lap, red stamps bleeding through thin paper. The courthouse basement smelled like paper and ozone like every story the town ever tried to hide. The fluorescent lights hummed, one flickering over the long table where Mary Torres spread her evidence. The projector clicked once its beam cutting through the dust like sunlight in water. Ever seen UV ink? She asked. Only on driver's licenses, I said. Same principle. County switched to invisible stamps 10 years ago. Good for catching fakes. She slid a transparent sheet over the ledger copy we'd brought from the diner. The lines glowed faint blue. Her shadow crossed it sharp as the edge of a blade. There, she said, pointing. See that ghost signature? I leaned closer. It's doubled. Forged over the original. She adjusted the focus. The screen pulsed. Clerk, Lakeview, HOA, Deposit Authority, P. Knoll. The letters below shimmered a faint second line offset like a bad photocopy. That's not her handwriting, I said. No, Mary said, but it's her permit ID. I frowned. Her gun permit, Mary nodded. Account alias was 429. Same digits as her concealed carry license. That's not coincidence. It's cover, Mary said. Old trick, create an alias that looks legitimate to the system. The air conditioner coughed. A single bulb flickered steady again. Somewhere above, footsteps echoed faintly, clerks heading home. Night shifts make the best evidence, Mary said. No phones, no politics. She fed a microfilm reel into the viewer, the plastic snapping into place. Watch this. The film rolled, showing scan logs from the county database. Each screen blinked a record assessment receipts, transfer requests, permits. She froze one frame. Permit number 429. Date same as the HOA account creation. I looked at her. You're saying she used her weapon license as the shell for the HOA account? Exactly. That's bold. Or stupid, Mary said. Depends how public she planned to make it. The projector word color deepening. The ghost signature bled across the screen in neon blue. She didn't just sign with the wrong ID, Mary said. She stamped it. She reused the county's seal. That's forgery of record. Can that stick? It's permanent ink, Mary said. Ink remembers. She smiled faintly. I caught her reflection in the glass, tired, satisfied calm in the hum of the machine. You like this work too much, I said. Truth is cleaner than rumor, she said. You'd be surprised how quiet a lie looks under UV. She rewound the reel. The mechanical clatter filled the silence. The beam flicked out for a moment, leaving us in the blue of monitor glow. You think she knew it would show, I asked. She underestimated paper, Mary said. Digital records vanish. Stamps don't. The basement clock ticked. I rubbed the back of my neck. Feels wrong digging through someone's life like this. Feels worse watching her rewrite ours, Mary said. The projector came back to life. She layered another sheet over the ledger copy. The overlap formed a perfect match between permit code and bank alias. Her finger landed on the intersection. There. Her permit is her password. That's enough to prosecute, enough to file the second notice, she said. Forgery, misuse of county seal, and violation of fiduciary duty. She said it like a grocery list, neat and certain. The clerk appeared at the doorway holding a fresh printout. Pulled the registry cross-file you asked for. Mary thanked him. The man glanced at the glowing projection and shook his head. People never learn, he said. They always leave the smallest clue. When he left, Mary pinned the paper under a weight. Registry confirms it. Same timestamp, same alias, same permit ID. Does the sheriff know yet? I'll tell him when I have the transcript signed, she said. Not before. She turned off the UV lamp. The sudden dark made the printed ink look alive like veins under skin. We stood there listening to the old projector slow to a stop. Mary rubbed the bridge of her nose. Every audit has a rhythm, she said. Starts as noise, ends as proof. You ever get used to the noise? No, she said. That's how you know it's real. Upstairs, the hallway clock struck 9. The air smelled faintly of toner and dust. Mary packed the sheets into a folder stamped County Audit. Evidence copy. She sealed it with clear tape pressing once along the edge. That's the seal, I said. She nodded. Mary's seal, she said, half smiling. I followed her up the narrow stairs past metal filing cabinets and the hum of machines cooling. At the top step, she paused. You realize what this means? Yeah, I said. That gun ties her to every check. The door clicked shut behind us and the projector gave one last mechanical sigh before silence. Rain tapped the clerk's window like a metronome. The fluorescent hum laid a thin line of noise across the room while the county server page crawled from upload, started to hashing. Mary placed the evidence pouch on the countergun permit card inside, pink-edged from yesterday's stamp tag reading Seized Temp. Same digits, she said. Permit, ending 429. Bank, alias 429. Foreshadow isn't just for stories, I said. It's how clocks talk. The deputy clerk, a man with a long jaw and a coffee thermos, angled the monitor toward us. The upload bar inched forward. A printer warmed behind him, smelling like hot dust. Freeze packet ready, he said. If the hash matches the system, writes it to the ledger. Before she moves anything else, Mary said. If she transfers now, we lose the trail. He lifted a brow. Not if the reversal is automatic. Mary tapped her notepad. Auto reversal fires on match. Fier 1207. It's coded. The server fan droned. I watched the cursor blink beside a field labeled Time of Origin. Mary typed 0317. Same as the permit renewal, I said. Same as yesterday's transfer, she replied. 2 edges cutting the same page. The clerk scanned the packet freeze order. Ledger overlays, UV, stills the receipt with Received County Treasury. He clicked Attach. The system wrapped each file with a checksum and a timestamp. Rain thickened stitching lines down the glass. A postal bin sat by the door full of certified mail stickers. I slid 2 pre-addressed envelopes from my folder, one to the bank manager, one to the post office box we'd set aside for backups. "Insurance," I said. "Clerks like insurance," the clerk said, not smiling. "It makes audits shorter." Mary held up the pouch again. The permit card glinted under the lights. "Prop is cracked," she said, more to herself than to me. "Still admissible." "Ran, but readable," I said. "Readable is all we need." The screen flashed, verifying "Do not close." The fan tone changed lower steady as the server chewed through the first batch. The deputy clerk set his thermos-down cap, ticking on melamine. "Does the system notify the bank directly?" I asked. "2 paths," he said. "Our record triggers their hold. Their hold triggers an entry on our docket. Both have to land." "And if one misses?" "We file again," Mary said. "But it won't miss." The progress bar hit 80% and hesitated. The hum grew louder in the quiet. In the hallway, a bulletin board held a flyer for the volunteer BBQ, the corners curling. "Think she's watching her phone?" I asked. "She's refreshing the balance every 10 seconds, Mary said. "Hash complete," the clerk announced. He clicked, "Right," and the cursor froze, then spun, then froze again. A line of text crawled up from the bottom. "Filed, Farshon 12-07, origin 03-17, hash match, index 241A. "That's one," Mary said. A second window opened, bank API handshake. The clerk keyed his credentials. Another progress bar. Another fan pitch. The room fell into a measured silence, the kind you hear in a shop right after the breaker snaps off and the grinders coast to a stop. I checked the paper copy's freeze order overlays, ledger lines, permit, alias, match. "Your stack looks like a tool bench," I said. "Everything in reach." "Torque charts on that wall," Mary said, pointing to a laminated county schedule. "We'll tighten each bolt in order." The API window chimed. "ACK received reversal set pending origin time." I leaned in. "Pending origin time funds roll back to the balance as of 0317, the clerk said. "Anything she pulled after that returns any attempt to move now bounces." "Say it again," I said. He read from the screen. "Reversal sets to origin. 0317. Mary exhaled the smallest sound. She set the permit pouch flat and pressed 2 fingers to its edge, steadying it like a level. "Mini audit done," she said. "Now we document the right." She pulled a fresh form and fed it into the stamp machine. The motor whirred. Filed thumped the paper in clean red. "Read it into the record," I said. Mary held the form up. "County Clerk, filed, 4/12/07/03/17. Basis suspected diversion of HOA assessments, alias, matched to permit ID, ledger overlays attached. Bank, ACK received. Reversal set to origin time." The clerk initialed the corner. "Now we wait for the round trip." "Round trip?" I asked. "Bank posts their mirror. Our docket ingests that mirror. Then it's sealed." "Sealed," Mary echoed, "like a gasket." We watched the second progress bar creep from 20 to 60 to 90. Rain softened almost a hiss. The fan dropped into a low thrum. The window blinked. A green check spun into place. "Mirror received entry sealed reversal active." Mary smiled without showing teeth. "Funds locked at 0317. The clerk printed the network log. The printer stuttered and spit long strips of timing data, black on white. He set the stack down with the smell of warm toner rising like a ghost. "Clip those," Mary said. I stapled 2 copies and slid them into labeled sleeves. One sleeve went to the certified mail bin a short walk to the post office window later. The other slipped into our case file. "Last piece," Mary said. She opened her pen and signed her name on the audit cover. "Mary Torres, Compliance." "Witness," I said, signing underneath. The server fan settled into a steady lull. The clerk shut his thermos and finally smiled. "First time I've seen a transfer chase itself backward. Paper runs faster than rumor," Mary said. We stood there listening. Rain hum, a single soft click from the projector cooling in the next room. The kind of quiet where a decision takes shape. The clerk cleared his throat. You'll want to screen cap the docket and send it to the bank's compliance inbox. Already queued, Mary said, tapping her phone. The message whooshed away a tiny triangle of light. A notification popped on the monitor. Notice dispatched Bank and Credit Union 2 recipients. I sealed the mailers and wrote certified in block letters. Post office is open till 5, I said. We'll make it, Mary said. And then I asked. She glanced at the permit in the pouch. The pink edge looked like a warning line on a shop floor. Then we show her what filed means, Mary said. Folding chairs clicked open until the aisles disappeared. The community hall smelled like floor polish and damp coats. A single microphone waited at center, its red ring glowing. The projector screen hung like a blank verdict behind it. Patricia Knoll arrived, last handbag clutched tight. Mary Torres stood already at the mic, a stack of exhibits under her arm, the evidence pouch with the pink-edged permit visible inside. A low murmur rolled through the room. Let's bring this to order, the moderator said. Public hearing, Lakeview Estates, HOA. Speaker on record, Mrs. Torres. Mary leaned in. Mic pop. I'll keep this procedural. I'm a compliance officer. I'll read what's filed. Patricia stepped forward, chin high. This is persecution. They want my office, not the truth. A man 2 rows back shouted, We want the money back. Someone else snapped, She built the trail. We walk. Mary raised a hand. I'll swear in first. The moderator lifted a palm. Mary repeated the oath voice, steady. She set Exhibit A on the table. Freeze order. Part 12, 07, 03, 17, filed. Start your projector, the moderator said. The bulb warmed, throwing pale light over dust in the air. The first slide appeared ledger lines dates, deposits, withdrawals. Alias 429. Patricia's voice cut across the room. You cherry-picked those. Mary didn't look up. These are all the Fridays in question. She changed the slide. Exhibit B, camera still of signature. Exhibit C, receipt stamped, received. County Treasury. She tapped the margin. Permit digits match the alias. Patricia swung her bag onto the table. The zipper rasped. You're twisting my volunteer hours into crimes. Anyone could see that account needed a flexible signatory. A resident stood. Flexible isn't personal. Patricia's jaw worked. You sit down. Mary's tone stayed even. We'll stick to paper. She nodded to me. Advance. I clicked to the bank API mirror. Mirror received reversal active. A hush swept the room like wind under a door. Mrs. Knoll, the moderator, said you'll have your turn. I'll take it now, Patricia said. She slid a hand into the bag and lifted a small pistol halfway, barrel pointed at the floor like a threat that wanted to be a point. Gasps pinballed across the rows. She didn't aim, but the symbol snapped every eye to her. Mary didn't flinch. She spoke into the mic, quiet enough to pull the room forward. That weapon's empty, your account isn't. The silence went hard and brittle. Deputy Mills took one step, palms visible. Hands on the table, ma'am. Patricia froze. She set the gun down beside the lectern with a dull clack. It's legal, she said. I'm reminding you I'm not afraid. Good, Mary said. Then you won't fear the record. I advanced the slide to the overlay permit digits, glowing ledger, alias, lit to match. The screen carried the math better than any voice could. Read the withdrawals, someone called. Mary read line by line. Withdrawals in amounts just under reporting thresholds. Routing to a personal account. P.O. Box matches the permit renewal. She paused. Vendor address resolves to a storage unit. Half the room stirred. The other half held still. Patricia pointed at the crowd. You all loved the new lights. Remember, loved the trimmed path. You think that paid for itself. A woman near the aisle rose, hands shaking. We paid it through you. Mary clicked to the next slide. Authorization signed under spouse login. Exhibit D, she said. Same day, we filed the freeze. Patricia laughed once. A clerical accident. Clerical accidents don't repeat for months, Mary said. They don't match your permit number. Patricia's lawyer, late flustered, squeezed down the wall and reached her shoulder. Don't answer specifics. Then, answer this, a man near the back said, voice rough. 48,000. Where is it? Mary nodded at me. I lifted the stamped receipt with the red block. The projector threw it 20 feet wide. Withdrawal, 48,000. Receipt received. The lawyer cleared his throat. We dispute chain of custody. Chains in the docket, Mary said. And in certified mail. The moderator's gavel hit once, one at a time. A teen on the back wall whispered, It's all on the screen, Mr. Shaw trying to sound grown, failing only a little. The hall adjusted around that truth. Patricia tried another angle. You are making this town a circus. Mary met the room. I'm making it a ledger. She let the sentence breathe, then added, paper outlives noise. That line landed like a screw set to torque quiet final. Even the folding chairs seemed to settle. I cued the last slide. Received 0942. The bank's date stamp on the mirror the moment the reversal sealed. The bulb hummed. The clock over the door ticked into the same minute. Patricia blinked at it as if it might change while she watched. Read the time, the moderator said. Mary didn't look away from the crowd. Received 0942. Funds held. Reversal active. That's the public record. Someone started clapping. It broke. Stuttered, then found rhythm. Applause rose like a roof in a storm, boards meeting joists. The mic popped when Mary stepped back, a small spark of sound before it cut. The projector threw the stamp harder. The red deepening. The hall didn't cheer for long. It didn't have to. The image worked by itself. Patricia gripped the lectern as if it could change the slide. It didn't. The vault door looked like a ship's wheel set in concrete paint worn at the handle where 100 hands had reached and hesitated. A paper notice was taped at eye level in thick red letters, Injunction, VR14-02, filed. The adhesive edges were still wet, the corners pressed sharp and clean. The sheriff held a ring of keys that flashed under the fluorescent lights. His tag, an oval of brushed steel, caught the room like a pocket mirror. Mary Torres stood to his left with the dossier. I stood to his right with the camera, the red dot, steady. We keep this ceremonial, the sheriff said. 2 witnesses, 1 clerk, 1 read-in. No speeches. Record rolling, I said. The bank manager unlocked the first bar. It slid back with a tired sigh. Inside, a smaller steel door waited with a slot for the tag. The room smelled like cold metal and paper dust, the kind you only notice when the air stops moving. Mary opened the dossier. Lake County Injunction, VR14-02, filed, she read. Basis freeze order, 412-07, alias, permit, match reversal mirror, received public hearing acknowledgement. Read that last phrase again, the manager said. Public hearing. Acknowledgement, Mary repeated. We're not hiding this. Patricia stood behind the rope line with her attorney. Her lips pressed white. The handbag sat at her feet, zipped for once. She glanced at me, then the camera. You think theater makes truth? She said. Procedure makes truth. Mary said, not looking up. The sheriff fitted the key. The teeth met metal with a tidy click, the kind that says every cut was measured twice. On my say, he murmured. I framed the shot key tag notice in the same plane. The fluorescent hum ran a flat line through the room like a test tone before a broadcast. My shoulder ached. I didn't lower the camera. Manager, the sheriff said. Confirm account. Lakeview Estates, operating the manager said. Ending in 429. Alias, Mary said. Alias, the manager agreed. The sheriff turned the key 1 notch. A lock disengaged somewhere inside the wall. Air shifted barely, but all of us felt it. The clerk cleared his throat, then stopped. The room held still. Mary held up a sheet. Posting, trust account, community restoration. Funds to transfer here upon seal. Patricia's attorney leaned toward her. Don't react, he whispered. Let them finish their little pageant. She stared through him. You told me it would never stick, she murmured. It hasn't. Yet, he said. Please. The sheriff turned the key again. The inner door eased and the vault's breath came out dry, cool ink and metal. He stepped back. Manager. The manager slid to the console and keyed a sequence. The monitor chimed. Reversal active origin 0317. Mirror confirmed. He set his finger to the last button and waited for the sheriff's nod. Read it, Mary said. The clerk read voice thin but clear. By order 514-02. Filed funds presently residing in Lakeview Estates. Operating alias 429 Revert and are to be transferred to Community Trust Restoration use only, subject to audit. Understood, the manager said. Patricia lifted her chin. A trust is still a bank account, she said. You just changed the label. Mary's mouth tightened. We changed the control. Keys, the sheriff said. The manager placed a small brass key on a square of tape. The sheriff set his steel tag beside it. Mary didn't touch them yet. She looked at the camera. Note for record, she said. Vault opened under injunction. Keys to be logged. Logged, I said. The manager pressed the button. Somewhere behind the wall a relay tripped a metallic swallow and the console printed a ribbon of time-stamped entries. The sound was oddly delicate, as if the machine had been taught to whisper. The sheriff glanced at the line forming near the door. Neighbors in work boots. A retiree in a cap with a faded tractor brand. A dad holding a toddler who only knew the room was too bright, too quiet, too full of adults trying not to blink. Mary signed the first line of the transfer sheet. Justice doesn't shout. It's signed, she said. The manager handed her the receipt. She passed it to me. The paper carried that warm ink smell that means done. Patricia took a step toward the rope. The deputy lifted a palm. She stopped. This is theater, she said louder. You dragged a vault door open so you could pretend you'd won. Mary didn't answer. She looked at the brass key, then the steel tag, then the notice in red. The sheriff nodded once. She took the brass key and clipped it to a clear ring marked Trust. The sheriff returned his tag to his belt. Now it's a lock with a ledger, she said. Patricia's attorney tried another angle. Who authorizes disbursement from this trust? Mary lifted a page. Board vote, posted agenda, audit signatures, and the court's standard supervision. She held Patricia's gaze. Public hands, public eyes. The printer finished its ribbon and stopped with a neat snip. The hush that followed was total. No hum, no throat clears, no shuffling. Just the vault clicked open to the exact degree required like a promise not to overreach. Silent beat, I thought, and kept filming. The sheriff gestured. Manager, confirm balance movement. The monitor refreshed. Transfer complete community trust balance, plus 48,000. Patricia blinked twice as if the numbers would reverse if she could hold her eyes on them long enough. They didn't. Say it, the sheriff told the clerk. The clerk swallowed. Funds have returned to community trust. I panned to Patricia. She gripped the rope with 2 fingers. I expected a speech. None came. The attorney reached for her elbow. She didn't move. The sheriff turned to me. Get the final frame. I framed the notice, the key on the ring, the console line with the new balance, and Mary's signature. The vault door sat there like a train wheel at full stop. That's the only lock you ever owned, Mary said quietly, eyes on Patricia's bag. A zipper. Her attorney flinched. Patricia didn't. The deputy unhooked the rope. Ma'am, you're free to leave or wait for copies. We're recording. She looked around the room, the fluorescent panels, the dull gleam of steel, the faces holding as steady as bolts. She chose the hallway. The deputy walked with her, not touching the camera on the wall, following in a slow, indifferent pan. At the threshold, the vault gave a final neat click. Then hush. The courthouse smelled of coffee and wet coats. The floor shone where the janitor's mop had passed an hour earlier, leaving a narrow path that led straight to the auditor's window. On the counter sat a stack of refund checks, each with a blue seal, and the words, Community Trust Restitution, printed in steady type. Mary Torres leaned on the counter glasses perched low. She wasn't in uniform today, no badge, no pouch, just a gray cardigan and her old pen clipped to the collar. The mentor returned softer in color, but no less precise. "Start with the senior lots," she said. They carried the dues longest. The clerk nodded and sorted envelopes by name. Behind her, the new HOA board members waited clipboards ready. The smell of coffee drifted in from a side table where volunteers poured styrofoam cups and handed them off like communion. I stood near the door, camera in hand, no red light this time. "You kept your pen," I said. Mary smiled. Ink still remembers. Each signature came with a small, sound paper slide, pen, tap, check, tear. The rhythm felt almost musical, echoing the vault click from yesterday. Outside, the sky had broken into pale stripes of light. The county supervisor called roll, then cleared her throat. "Restitution hearing for Lakeview Estates. Purpose refund distribution audit closure." Applause rippled but faded quickly. These people weren't cheering a performance, they were checking that the numbers finally added up. A man in a denim jacket stepped forward. "Name, James Bowden," he said. Mary found his line. "Lot 72, 2 years of assessments withheld." She tore the check and handed it over. He held it like it might dissolve. "How much?" $327, she said. He blinked twice, mouth working. "It's not the amount he said. It's that it came back." Mary's hand lingered a beat before pulling away. "Applause is proof served warm," she said softly. The crowd chuckled, then clapped for real this time. Even the clerk smiled, rubbing her wrist. The next resident, a woman in a postal jacket, stepped up. "They said we'd never see this day. Most rumors expire faster than receipts," Mary said. By the time the 20th check changed hands, the stack had thinned to half. The new board chair, a man with carpenter's hands, signed the ledger and turned it toward the crowd. Every disbursement logged, every name confirmed. The microphone squeaked too close to the podium. A hush followed. Then a single voice from the back. The man from the diner weeks ago said what everyone else was thinking. Finally, someone fought back. The words hung in the air like the echo after a bell. The crowd repeated it, uneven at first, then steady. Finally, someone fought back. It wasn't angry. It was relief, shaped into sound. A rhythm. A chant without fists. Only open palms clapping in time. Mary paused, pen in mid-air. Silent beat. Then she smiled, not big, not for show, just enough to say she heard it. The clerk raised the last envelope. "Final check, community reserve account." Mary signed. The pen scratched, paused, then stopped. "Restitution complete," she said. I lifted the camera and caught her reflection in the glass partition. Her eyes soft, the lines at the corners showing the kind of fatigue that only justice brings. The light from the hallway caught the stack of signed stubs. Each bore her initials tight and exact. The sheriff entered quietly, hat in hand. "County's satisfied," he said. "No appeals filed." Mary nodded. "Good. Let's keep it quiet." He looked at the crowd, chanting softly, neighbors handing checks across rows of folding chairs. "That's as loud as it gets." She turned back to him. "Loud enough." The room felt lighter, almost suspended. The pen clicked once, then lay flat. People began to talk in ordinary voices about fences, lawns, school fees, the kind of talk that only happens when a weight finally lifts. Outside, the flag by the courthouse steps shifted in the wind. The camera's battery light blinked, catching that brief shimmer before it faded. I kept it rolling until the last envelope slid into its folder and the door closed with a gentle thud. For the first time since the freeze order, no one looked over their shoulder. The new community hall smelled of varnish and lake air. Evening light slid through the wide windows, painting the brass plaque in Gold Integrity Fund Restored 2024. A few rows of folding chairs faced the podium. The lake shimmered behind the glass, steady as a mirror. On the wall beside the dais hung the old gun permit card, its number voided in thick red ink framed next to a faded ledger page. Beneath both a small caption, "Account closed," Trust open. Mary Torres stood near the podium holding the ring of vault keys. They caught the last slice of light gleaming like the edge of a coin. "You sure you're ready to let go of these?" I asked. She smiled. They were never mine, just borrowed until folks remembered how to hold them. The new HOA chair, a man whose hands still bore drywall dust, took the keys carefully. "We'll guard the fund right this time," he said. Mary nodded. "Guard it by spending it right." The room laughed softly. The kind of laugh that comes when rules finally make sense again. Children's voices drifted through the open door. Someone was fishing off the pier. The sound of a reel clicking blended with the quiet murmur of neighbors finding seats. No one argued about dues or fences or board minutes. For once, it all just fit. The sheriff stepped to the side wall, checking the mount for the framed permit. "You hung it straight." I tapped the frame lightly. "True as a level." He grinned. "Feels good seeing void printed where it belongs." Mary approached the podium. "Before we adjourn, there's one more record to note." She opened a slim envelope and read, "By closure of the injunction funds verified and redeployed ledger, reconciled community, restored." Applause began before she could fold the letter. Not loud, measured like rain on metal roofing. The sound filled the hall, reached the windows, and slipped into the sunset. Mary gestured to me. "You still filming?" "Always," I said, panning across the faces, and the same people who once shouted at meetings now passing cookies, kids tugging on sleeves, neighbors leaning close to hear each other. She said quietly, "Healing's paperwork, too." Outside, under the flagpole, the crowd gathered for a group photo. The lake caught their reflections, patchwork shirts, silver hair, folded, arms relaxed. The flag moved once, caught by the breeze, then rested. I lowered the camera for a moment, watching Mary hand the brass keys to the board chair. He held them high for a second, then lowered them to the table beside the ledger and the voided card. Light pooled across the brass gold, mixing with blue water through the window. A child pointed at the plaque. "What's that mean?" Her mother crouched. "It means we fixed what broke." Mary turned toward them. "Tell her it means honesty leaves a shine." The girl nodded solemnly, as if it were a secret worth keeping. I set the camera back on the tripod, refocused on the reflection in the window flagpole water and the faint glow of the plaque letters. "Water remembers who respects it," I said. Mary looked at me and laughed softly, a sound like relief. The board chair took the podium again. "This community is whole. Let's keep it that way." He looked to Mary. She gestured to the flag outside. "Raise it. It's your turn." The rope rasped through the pulley, a clean metallic whisper. The cloth caught, then climbed. Every head tilted up, following it into the last light of day. Children ran to the pier, tossing lines into the water ripples, spreading out in widening rings. Silent beat, just water and wind, no speeches left to make. The camera pulled back through the open door. The reflection of the hall, the flag, and the lake merged into one frame. On screen, the brass letters glowed against dusk. Title card, "Finally, someone fought back." The screen faded to the sound of distant applause and the faint tap of ripples against wood. The sunset hit the brass plaque, its surface catching every ripple of the lake beyond. I brushed a thumb over the words "Integrity Fund Restored 2024" and heard the flag snap once in the wind. The voided permit hung beside the ledger, a reminder that paperwork can heal if people stay honest long enough to sign. Justice here never needed to shout. It only had to last. The water outside shimmered like it understood soft light over clean reflections. Finally, someone fought back. Share your HOA story below your map might help someone redraw theirs.